Thank you, Peter. Fellow Toastmasters, yes, the American dream. When I say that to you, what visions does that conjure up? Great job, a great place to live, but for many, it's the home, it's the castle, your castle. It's a beautiful home, maybe a two-car garage, maybe a one-car garage. That white picket fence, the green grass out in the front yard. That American dream has been pushed by many over the last 30, 40, 50 years. In the 50s, the American dream was really pushed hard, and home ownership was pushed not only by the U.S. government, but by various people in the community as a way to reduce crime and increase just people's feelings about themselves. Your castle. You're the king, you're the queen, your place to live. But over the years, home prices have been increasing. I think everybody's noticed that here in Austin. We've been the beneficiaries of a dramatic increase in home values. We have people in here that have built homes, right? You've seen the values go up. But along with these values going up and more people wanting to buy either their first home or a bigger and better home, well, the supply has been going up, thank you very much, Harry. The demand has been going up at such a rapid pace that the average price of a home has increased to such an extent that actually fewer and fewer people can afford these in the traditional manner. So what have we seen as a result? Very simply, we've seen a lot of creative financing out there. So the title of my speech is Meltdown. We're going to talk this morning about subprime mortgages. You guys have all seen these in the news. What does subprime mean? These were loans that were given out, or methods of financing that were given out to people that really couldn't afford them when it came down to it. Subprime mortgages looked like the following. Antoinette, you buy a house. It costs $400,000. Antoinette may not have a job. Antoinette may not have the income to afford that house, but she writes down that income, basically, not that Antoinette would ever do this, but lies on the application stating that she makes more money than she otherwise would. Someone processes it without looking at it, allows her to buy the home. 6 months later, she can't make the payments, and foreclosure happens. Also happens this way. A lot of people out in California and Florida, the beneficiaries of some of the most massive price increases the United States has seen in its history. They run out and buy an $800,000 home. And the only way they can afford it is to do a 3-year ARM. And what is an ARM? It's an adjustable rate mortgage. So for the first 3 years, you have a very low interest rate. But after that, it adjusts to a higher interest rate. And most of these people do this with the intention of flipping that home, selling the home within that 3-year period. Now, when things happen, like when mortgage or when the housing industry cools off, like it has, that created a little bit of a problem. See, the whole idea was that you had this built-in profit, net of commissions, you'd be able to sell it for a lot more money, and there'd be a lot of people waiting there to buy that home. Well, that's not happening today. And what you're seeing, especially across the country, in places like California, Florida, Colorado, and then in some harder hit states economically, Ohio and Michigan are some of the highest foreclosure rates that we've seen in this country ever. Talk a little bit more about some of the players in this, and then some of the things that are going on nationally that are proposed to help some of these people. So who are the players in all of this? Well, and who are the culprits? Because everybody wants to find the culprit these days. Because people want to find out why this last month 1 out of every 200 homes in the states of Florida and California were in foreclosure. 1 out of every 200. So think about where you live. Find 200 homes. It's not too hard to find. That's the equivalent of what's going on in these places. So some people want to blame government. Government's pushed the idea of home ownership. It's a good thing. Talk about some of the benefits, lower crime, higher self-esteem, all those types of good things, builds the economy. Some people will point back and Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan at one point in time had pushed these adjustable rate mortgages. Okay, well, we could point fingers there. Some people want to point to others within the industry, the people that take these loans and package them up and sell them off. But what I really want to talk about this morning is the people that really enabled that, and there's two people there. The people that made the loans in the first place, the people that brokered the loans between the buyer and the seller, and then, last but not least, our poor consumer. The people that are making these loans, Jim, if somebody made you a loan and you didn't have the ability to pay and foreclosed on the home later, what would you think about them? Probably not too highly, right? There's just there's so much push out there to do these loans, to sell homes, either new or resales. People are putting people in a place where they just can't make the payments. I think that's wrong. There's brokers out there today. All they do is get paid to flip these things. They get paid on a transactional basis, so they try to match people up with financing that's available. And a lot of times they don't give any advice. All they do is try to make the transaction happen. And then there's our poor seller. Well, or our poor buyer. I actually blame our poor buyer too. We have the right, or we have the responsibility as consumers to be educated about whether we're buying a car, a piece of plastic in the store, or the most valuable investment that most of us make in our lifetime, which is a home. So I fault, actually, the people making the loans as much as I do the buyers. There's actually legislation out there today that we're talking about helping some of these people. And the legislation looks like this. There's a couple different piece parts. One of the biggest piece parts is trying to help some of these lenders out of the mess that they've got themselves in. Well, the mess is $500 billion. $500 billion in write-offs have already occurred. I don't think that that's the right answer. Helping the people out that got themselves in the mess in the first place, to me, isn't fair. It's not fair for you, as the American taxpayer, to go out and bail these guys out. We've done bailouts in the past, right? Continental, we bailed out airlines, we bailed out Chrysler, those types of things to try to keep the economy stable. I don't think, however, helping out some of these big banks, which are some of the culprits here, get out from under these loans that they've made to be the right thing to do. We can't let the economy falter. There's actually been some intervention already. There's been a lot of federal lending to help these guys out. But at the end of the day, they're taking these write-downs. They're taking a hit. I also don't necessarily think it's okay to excuse the behavior of the American consumer that's run out and taken loans that they couldn't repay. There are some cases where there was some predatory lending going on out there, and what does that mean? People not informing, people with little means coming to someone and saying, hey, I want to buy a house, and somebody's literally saying, you make $200 a month, you can't afford to buy this house. There is some of that goes on out there, but for the most part, I think it's been pretty much inexcusable, the situation that a lot of people find themselves in. Fellow Toastmasters, it's ugly out there. You're going to be impacted if you sell a home or buy a home in the next 2 months, 3 months, 2 years. It's incumbent on us to be good consumers, whether it be credit or buying anything. And I hope and trust that you see the issue for what